my fight fans? UFC 325 is in the books this past Saturday. I am a little late to the party by talking about it, but nonetheless, here we are. Let's get into it, shall we? In the main event, again, it was a fight that we all really didn't want. It was a fight that we all pretty much understood why they were going to do it, and it was a fight that pretty much, sorry to say, no disrespect, but was a waste of time. Diego Lopes taking on Alexander Volkanovski. These guys had recently fought each other. I think it was like 10 months ago, back in April of last year. The fight was one-sided, a little bit more competitive, I would say, a little bit in that first fight. But nonetheless, Volkanovski got the job done then, and he gets the job done now in a more one-sided fashion. Pretty much dominated Diego Lopes. It was reported that Diego Lopes had injured his foot. I think broke both feet. So I'm sure that played a factor in the fight. But yeah, it just, it really wasn't something that really impressed me all that much. Because we all knew what Volkanovski was going to do. We all knew what Volkanovski was going to do against Diego Lopes, because Diego Lopes is so brand new, so new, and he really didn't have time to adapt. He really didn't have time to try new game plans or anything like that was going to make a difference within the fight, because he did fight him, and then he had one fight, I believe against, it was Gene Silva, and then that fight lasted maybe 1 or 2 rounds, and then he got a rematch. So I don't know, we all wanted to see something else. We all knew why they were going to do it, because Diego Lopes is exciting, and with this new Paramount deal, they wanted to get as much audience as possible for this fight, for the new deal that they have with Paramount and such. So I get it, but yeah, it was just a complete waste of time. I would have rather seen him go against anybody else within the division. But nonetheless, speaking of anybody else in the division, since there really isn't much to break down in this fight, what is next for Volkanovski? Well, there's rumors around, and also he is also reporting it himself. Arman Tsarukyan is thinking about going down to featherweight, because we all know the drama that he's having in the lightweight division. He's not getting a title shot, and it doesn't seem like he's going to get a title shot anytime soon, with Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria going head-to-head, and with Ilia Topuria wanting to face Islam Makhachev. So, yeah, I'm sure Arman wants a shot now. So with him possibly going down to featherweight, that is very interesting, because recent news in March, I believe it's 21st, in London or somewhere in the UK, you have Isov. I'm sorry, I'm always forgetting his damn name. Not Imavov. There's another cat in there, but he's going against Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy coming off a great win over Aaron Pico back in August. Great knockout. Brutal knockout. Real brutal. But they're going to go head to head. They're both undefeated fighters, both really good fighters, but not the most exciting. I believe Murphy is by far the most exciting due to that knockout that he's had. But prior to that, it was mostly decisions and nothing really that was going to be that crazy. So I guess what the UFC is trying to do there is trying to knock off one of these guys, because, again, they're both not exciting. Normally, they would try to keep one of the exciting fighters or try to keep both of those guys with their undefeated records intact. But with that being said, being them that they're not exactly that exciting, they don't care if one of them loses. So those two are fighting for the number one contendership for sure. Again, Arman Tsarukyan, he's down. He wants to fight. I don't see Volkanovski wants to be very active, so I can see him fighting sometime in summer. So that could possibly happen with Arman Tsarukyan and Volkanovski. Volkanovski, you all know him. He's a beast. He's a dog. He wants to go toe-to-toe with anybody and anytime, anywhere. So I really appreciate him. I really appreciate his fighting style. The guy is a GOAT, 100% in the featherweights. Nonetheless, go into the co-main event. You got BSD, Benoit Saint-Denis, taking on Dan Hooker. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought, honestly, Dan Hooker was going to steamroll through him, and he looked like he was going to. He looked like he was doing really, really good in the fight, but it ended up going straight to BSD. The guy looked great. The guy looked great on the ground. He was able to do whatever he wanted to do to Dan Hooker, which is not really necessarily saying much, just due to the fact that Dan Hooker is not necessarily known for his ground game. So I really thought this was going to be more of a stand-up war, but BSD is a really good wrestler. We saw what he was able to try to do to Dustin Poirier when they fought, but we all saw Dustin Poirier got the victory, and because I believe Dustin Poirier has a lot better ground game than Dan Hooker. So it was unfortunate, very unfortunate for Dan Hooker, very fortunate for BSD, because, you know, he's getting closer. I believe he's on a 4-5 winning streak. You know, he's ready to, he's getting closer to a title shot, and he's called out a few names. He's called out Arman Tsarukyan. He wants that. He wants possibly the winner of the BMF belt. So yeah, you know, there's a few options for him. You know, I believe Paddy Pimblett said he wants to face the winner of this contest, but we all know that there's a lot of beef and a lot of drama going on between Dan Hooker and Paddy Pimblett, and with both of those guys recently losing, I would much rather see that fight. I would much rather see, if Arman Tsarukyan sticks around, see him against Benoit Saint-Denis, or at least Benoit Saint-Denis taking on Gamrot, somewhere in there. I don't want him to go too fast. There are still a few other fights that he can have before he reaches for that belt. You know, you got Charles Oliveira again, you got Max Holloway, you got Ilia Topuria, you got Justin Gaethje, you got Paddy Pimblett. So those are really the top 5 at the moment. Of course, Arman Tsarukyan, top 6. And so one of those guys I won't mind, unless he wants to try to jump in there right away, maybe face the loser, or maybe he could get the winner of the BMF, but that's a whole different discussion. I would see more likely him going against either a Gamrot or a possibly the loser of the BMF. Not necessarily the winner, the loser, I would say. So yeah, he's getting closer. He has a few more fights, and he could very well possibly fight for the title if things go his way next year for sure. So that's pretty much the card. There's a few other guys fights on there, like Fiziev. Very unfortunate. He had a great fight, but it not a great fight with him. Unfortunate. You know, he ended up losing. But you know, it's gonna take some time for him. Tai Tuivasa, same thing. He's on a 0-6 fight. You know, so the guy, I'm not sure what the UFC is gonna do with him. I'm sure eventually they're gonna cut him. So yeah, there's just a whole lot going on with the heavyweight division that needs to be fixed. It's crazy that the guy's still ranked in the top 15 and he hasn't had a win since I think 2022. So this card wasn't necessarily anything to blow your hair back. This card wasn't necessarily like a great card. It was somewhat fun, somewhat entertaining, but I'm sure we're going to have a lot more fun, a lot more greater cards coming in the future. So guys, definitely check it out. It's on Paramount. Definitely look at what some of the great highlights you're going to see from BSD, from Volkanovski, and so forth. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.